I never want to say I'm the pro's pro and I have nothing else to learn. And so that's the biggest gift that I've been able to unpack. It's just another year of learning and growing. Hello and welcome back to another episode of A Higher Purpose, a Vanderbloemen podcast. I am your host, Brett Connolly. I knew I wasn't going to be able to do that all the way through, but I'm your host, Brett Connolly, and joining me as she does every week, every episode, my co-host, Sarah Gonzales in the house.
We're so back.
It's good.
Merry Christmas, guys.
It's Christmas.
Happy holidays.
But it's also in Houston, so we're gonna take this off. I'm gonna take this off.
It's a little toasty.
It's getting toasty. Put this over here. But we got the Vanderbloemen.
We do.
Which I like.
We do.
How's your hair's looking good? How's the hair?
Thank you. It's
okay?
good. Yeah, no, it's not bad. It's not too bad. Not too shabby.
Okay, good.
We fixed it up a little quickly.
All right. Well, we're so glad you're joining us for a special holiday episode. So we're winding the year down, and we just wanted to reflect a little bit over the last 12 months, highlight some things, but also just talking about tradition a little bit.
Yeah.
I love tradition. When we had our Thanksgiving episode a few weeks back, you were talking about how Thanksgiving is number one on your power ranking.
At the very, very top.
Tip top.
Very
Where
top.
does Christmas land in your power ranking?
Christmas has to be pretty high up there
Okay.
as well because, once again, I just love people. And so I love that holidays are an excuse and a reason for people to gather together, family to come together. So Christmas it's pretty high for me. Is this your number one?
Oh, man, that's tough. Shark Week is up there.
Okay.
And then I like Halloween. I'm a sucker
You're
for
a Halloween guy. Okay.
Yeah. But let's stick with Christmas.
Yeah,
Christmas
that's
is
a
important.
strike against you.
Good. I'm just striking out left and right. What's a top of mind tradition with Christmas for you guys?
There are I feel like a gazillion that I could talk about, and I'm sure everybody has so many different memories that they grew up with or adapted as adults. But one of my favorite ones that we started doing probably 5-6 years ago.
Is this the one you told me earlier? Please say this is the one you told me
We're
earlier.
about to find out.
Okay. Please.
But one of my favorite traditions that my family has done in the past is we all can sing. It's kind of weird. We're like the Von Trapp family. So we go to an old folks home on Christmas Eve and spend time with those who maybe don't have family in the area, or they're in like the memory unit, so they don't have family that comes and visits them. And we just sing a bunch of Christmas carols.
Wow.
And it's so fun and it's so sweet. And I love old people, so that's kind of my jam already. But one of the coolest parts is when you go to the memory unit. So people who have dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that, they can't remember. Some of them can't remember their daughter's name.
That's right.
But when you sing Jingle Bells, they know every single word. Like, music just has this really beautiful power in their memory. And so they get so excited, and it's just the sweetest thing ever to get to do that. And it's a fun memory to make, obviously, as a family. But you get to have so many interactions with people you would have never interacted with and hear stories that we're losing those types of stories. A lot of those people fought in wars and went through insanely crazy things. And so that's one of my favorite traditions.
Wow. Well, I'm not going to top that one. I also thought you were talking about corn dogs. Is that Thanksgiving?
No, that's Christmas.
Okay, all right.
That's Christmas.
You totally zagged on me.
That shortly, yes. My husband and I, one time, we had to get out of Christmas dinner. It was a whole thing. And we went home. We realized there was nothing open, and we had no food. All we had were frozen corn dogs in our freezer. So we feasted on frozen corn dogs. So now that's what we bring to Christmas dinner is corn dogs.
I love that so much. That was what
You can top that one.
I don't know. Both are pretty good for different reasons.
Thank you.
So I appreciate that. But ours, we've always been like slow openers.
Okay.
Like everyone goes one at a time, and
No
you read
way.
who it's from. And
One of those families, huh?
Yeah. Luckily, we're a small family, and we keep it pretty chill. But
now, this is like you and your just your immediate family, or like the whole.
Yeah. So it's like my sister and her family, my parents, and I don't know. We even take like a halftime where it's like snacks, bathroom break, the whole 9 yards. But the most fun thing now is seeing Isaac open up gifts. That's my son, and just seeing him get excited, and he gets excited for all the things he shouldn't be getting excited for. It's like the wrapping paper putting it into balls and throwing it at people and all the boxes. I'm like, but what about the things in the boxes? Couldn't care less. No. So that's just kind of a fun tradition that we do. And we might add corn dogs to it this year. Let's just see what happens.
As you should.
Let's just see what happens.
I love that.
Okay, but just as we're talking about wrapping up the year again, there's just always lessons learned. And I think for people that may be starting in their career, or they had a big pivot this year, or a big like door slamming, it can be tough to reflect, you know, and there's always ups and downs. And I'll always like make things and goals and stuff at the beginning of the year, which we're going to tease a little bit here. We're going to have that in a future episode. But I always end up doing like half of them, you know, or like a third of them, or, but I like trying to keep those goals in front of me, which I always really appreciate. But just the generosity of the season, wherever you are and find yourself, I think it's important to reach out to people who are within your work area or in your career space, even networking, not to like get something out of it. But man, it goes a long way. When people just randomly reach out to me, that can go a long way. And you don't know what they're going through, but just say, hey, thinking of you during this holiday season.
Yeah. Super impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. But what's, just as you're reflecting personally, what are some, like maybe some milestone markers for you professionally or maybe personally?
Yeah. This is one of my favorite parts about the end of the year and about the beginning of the year as well. I think that a lot of people, you know, it's like too many New Year's resolutions is slightly overwhelming, but I love to have different goals, different things. I actually choose a word for the year every year, kind of pray about it. And I feel like it gives kind of direction. So my word for 2024 was expectant, to come with expectation and know. I think I kind of put a lot of things in a box of, you know, this is where I'm at. I'm in my mid-20s. I'm in the season of grind and figuring things out. And I didn't really have that childlike faith of coming with expectation of not only what the Lord was capable of doing, but also just different things that I wanted to step into. And so 2024 was a lot of growth. It was a lot of growth for me personally, me and my husband. We got to do incredible things. Like we got to buy a house this year, which was a huge deal for us.
Yeah.
Got to live closer to family, which is a huge thing. I've grown a lot in this job. I've decreased my people-pleasing side of me. That's been a great thing to decrease this year. But probably the biggest thing is just coming with expectation. And then I've just gotten to watch the Lord do miracle after miracle after miracle in other people's lives around me, my life as well. But to come with that expectation of knowing that, you know, not every year, even if you had a bad, say 2023 was hard and then you're going into 2024 and you're like, I don't know, or maybe 2024 was a really difficult year and you're not even wanting to step into 2025 or set those goals because it may come with heartache. I just think always getting that kind of fresh reset of what a new year brings and what we're able to reflect on from this past year is kind of back to our Thanksgiving episode of gratitude. You know, you get to reflect and see all that's happened. So for me personally, lots of growth as a family, and then lots of growth personally of just learning more so who I get to be as an employee, kind of finding my identity in that, not getting lost in my work. But, you know, you're a consultant. I'm an executive assistant. Your job would not be my jam. And I don't know if my job would be your jam. We have very different giftings. And so that's really cool to walk into and get to find out more so. I love being an executive assistant. Here's why. Here's kind of the way my brain is wired, and step into that instead of feeling like, you know, you show up and you have to do the same job or whatever, but how can you continue to do it better?
Right.
And I feel like I've grown a lot in that this past year of figuring out why I love it and the things that I'm naturally gifted towards to keep growing in those things. And then the things I'm not so great at to work on.
Yeah. We talk about being a good steward of this one life we've been given, and you're always talking about, for me, like each day I want to get like 1% better. You know, if you just kind of maintain, everyone kind of reaches these points in their jobs, whether you feel like you're kind of down here on the pecking order or middle of the pack, or like, man, I'm really comfortable in this season, or like you're up here and you don't have anyone to seek guidance from, and you're having to guide
whole team
vision and all of those things. Just being reminded of that, you know, of just like, man, striving to be 1% better.
Yeah.
And for me, I feel like this year, man, I love traveling, meeting churches and nonprofits and different organizations across the country and outside the country and stuff. And just understanding that just because I've done several of them doesn't mean I've done that one yet. And so always just going and like resetting, and I always prep my questions different based on how they've said different things leading up to those visits. And each one feels like a new puzzle, you know, and it's like, how can we work together? How can we unpack things? And so there's a lot of like prayerful discernment leading up before you ever even like walk into one of those rooms. And it would be so easy just to go, oh, I have this template and I just come in and I just do these things. But it's like, no, there's a lot of nuance to the role, you know. And one of the things too we've talked before is like in consulting and stuff, like you're dealing with people, and everyone listening, you're in probably the people business, no matter what your role is. Even if you're just sitting at a laptop all the time, you're working with a team one way or another. And it's so important to be able to receive feedback. And we had talked last month about that Fortune magazine element, and there was a piece in it talking about just how they were concerned that the new people coming into the workforce were unable to take feedback. And that's something that I'm mid-30s, and I'm still going like, yeah, I know you smile because you're old. But it's one of those things where it's just like, I continue to have to go, okay, can I control this?
Right. Or
did I do something? Or it's like, I can't control this, and I need to just let this roll off my back, you know? And I would say with consulting and really anybody with a job or a residency or an internship, it's important to remember what you can control and things that are out of your control. When you start obsessing over the things you can't control, that's when you get jaded, and that's when you get burnt out, and that's when you get you just completely are unable to calibrate what your purpose is, and you lose the vision and mission. And so that was one of my goals into the year, and it's like hard to calibrate or hard to like quantify, hey, did I hit that goal?
Right.
But I just remember ending the year here feeling like, man, I have been able to achieve that better, of just when things go awry, or a candidate drops out last minute, or there's just so many variables.
Right.
And I just go, I understand why you're upset. I'm upset too. But you go through those kind of speed bumps to get to the end goal. Yeah. And that's a celebration, and that's worth the fight. And if it was easy, we wouldn't be doing this. You know, it's a tough space, and we get to step into that sacred space.
Yeah.
You know, and so
I love that. I love that. Well, I know that a huge tradition at Christmas as well as exchanging gifts. Let's talk about not necessarily tangible gifts, but what has been a gift to you in your career this year? What's something, a memory, a story, a person, something that's been a gift to you in 2024?
Oh man. Well, I feel like this year I've had such a range of size organizations and different denominations. And so just getting to work with, I would call it the capital C church more and more and more. And even in different organizations of just learning. I never want to say I'm the pro's pro and I have nothing else to learn. And so that's the biggest gift that I've been able to unpack, is just another year of learning and growing. And that sounds like I didn't give an answer, but that's always kind of my baseline goal of, I was not a reader, but now I am a reader. Like 2019, you do college and you finish, or maybe you start your master's program or something, and all you do is read for schooling. And I just kind of had like a break from reading for a bit, and I was like, I want to get back into reading for fun. And that has pushed me. I'm always trying to, not like a ton of books, but I'm trying to hit like 40 books every year.
And that could not be me. I love that for you.
But it's like something that helps my brain, keeps me fresh.
So true.
And trying to learn different things. And that's just kind of a gift that I get to unwrap. And I'm always just as excited for what I'm about to read as what I'm currently reading. And
that's good.
That's some 3 energy. I'm always like, how do I get my goal taken care of?
Right.
But I think there's a lot of overlap to the year, people setting goals, and their career is like being in the now, but also having goals. It's good to have goals. But it's just when your future goals offset what you're currently doing, that's when things go awry.
Yeah.
What about you? What about your gift?
Honestly, I will say that a huge gift for me this year was, she's the gift that keeps on giving, but Jennifer Paulson is my boss, and she was on the second episode of this podcast. One of my favorite things about Jen is that she knows I don't just come here every day and this is the only part of my life is the 40-hour work week at Vanderbloemen. She knows that I've got other things going on. I'm involved in my church, marriage, all the things. And so she keeps such a great professional line there while also still asks me how I'm doing, checking in on me, making sure I'm okay. Do I need to take a mental health day sometimes when there's hard things going on or family dynamics happening, as well as building me up. She genuinely wants to see me succeed. And to have that is such a blessing. That's really not, I know that I've had a job before where leadership was they didn't pour into me like that. And so it's been a huge blessing. Probably one of the biggest gifts of 2024 is we've talked about where I eventually would like to be in my career, and she's kind of helped guide me in that and given me wisdom and advice and things like that. And that's something now that I know that I always want to look for at a place is people who have great leadership skills to continue to build leaders. My previous job, I got to lead a team, and here I'm not leading a team, but there are still ways to lead when you're not, said like bottom of the totem pole, middle, top. You know, I don't oversee anybody here, but there's still a lot of different ways to lead and that I want to grow in my 100%. Leadership. Yeah. And so Jen's been such a gift to still grow that in me, even when I technically don't have a title of leadership, still investing in me as a leader.
And a real highlight of this year, personally, the podcast is alive and well.
That is a huge one.
Several episodes in. This has been a dream for a long time of getting to speak into kind of this important space of people that are listening to this episode of just walking alongside you. We'd love to have more feedback, more interaction.
Absolutely.
But man, I'm really excited for what we have on the docket for next year. We have a lot of exciting things around the corner. But we just hope you have a time where you can just pause for a little bit and reflect the ups and downs. I feel like my personal downs is when I have to lean into the joys even more and like the promises more. And that helps me kind of like pull out of those rut moments. So whatever season you find yourself in, just find some moments to reflect and find joy. And friends, family, whatever you have, feel free to reach out to us too. We'll be your new friends and family. That'll be good. But thank you so much for listening. And
we'll see you in 2025.
2025.
It's going to be good. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to A Higher Purpose, a Vanderbloemen podcast. If you want to listen to our other episodes, you can go to ahigherpurposepodcast.com. Follow us along on our socials at A Higher Purpose Podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you in 2025.